KL Publications presents What Lies Beneath Oscarville, Lake Lanier. Marcusville stood at the edge of Lake Lanier, the morning fog hovering like a veil over the water's surface. The lake had always been a place of mystery and rumors, but for Marcus it was something more personal. He wasn't just here for the view or the local ghost stories. He was here to uncover the truth. As the last living descendant of Oscarville, the man for whom the town buried beneath this lake was named. Marcus had found a document that would change everything he thought he knew about his family and about history itself. It had all started a month ago when he stumbled upon an old chest in his late grandmother's attic. Among faded photographs and worn-out clothing, he discovered a stack of yellowed papers. At first, it seemed like an ordinary historical record of Oscarville, the town submerged under Lake Lanier. But as he read further, he found a particular document, a letter written by Oscarville himself. In it, Oscar spoke of a great injustice done to the town and a particular connection to something much larger than Marcus had imagined. The origins of the world-renowned Academy Awards, also known as the Oscars. Oscarville, Georgia, had been a thriving town in the early 1900s. Oscarville, the town's founder and namesake, had been a visionary man. His ideas for community building, education, and business development had attracted people from across the region. Yet something about his legacy had been intentionally buried along with the town itself. The letter in Marcus's hand detailed a partnership between Oscarville and an influential family in Georgia, the Harringtons, who had moved to California during the early days of Hollywood. According to Oscar's writings, the Harringtons had stolen his idea of an award that recognized outstanding performances in entertainment, a concept he had envisioned as a way to uplift the creative talents within his own town. But Oscarville never got to see his vision come to life. The land disputes and racial tensions of the early 20th century had led the town to being disbanded, its residents forced out, and eventually the entire area was flooded to create Lake Lanier in 1956. Oscarville disappeared under the water along with the town's history, and perhaps intentionally, the true origins of what would become the Oscars. Intrigued and disturbed, Marcus knew he had to dig deeper. He spent weeks researching the origins of Lake Lanier, poring over historical records and making trips to local archives. He learned that the lake had a dark reputation. Over the years, countless people had drowned in its waters, some under mysterious circumstances. Statistically, numbers of deaths at Lake Lanier was unusually high, fueling rumors that the lake was cursed. Some said it was the souls of Oscarville displaced residents seeking justice. Others believed it was simply the treacherous design of the man-made lake with its hidden debris and sudden drops. Still, the documents Marcus found pointed to something bigger. The Harrington family, now one of the most influential names in Hollywood, had indeed come from Georgia. Old newspaper clippings and property records confirmed that they were originally from the Oscarville area. As Marcus connected the dots, he realized that the Oscars, the golden statue coveted by actors worldwide, had a darker, more complex origin story, one tied to the exploitation of his great-grandfather's ideas. Determined to uncover the full truth, Marcus traveled to Los Angeles. There he sought out the Harrington family, now living in a sprawling estate overlooking the Hollywood Hills. It wasn't easy gaining an audience with them, but after weeks of persistence, he managed to sit down with Eleanor Harrington, the last surviving member of the family who had direct ties to the original Oscarville land disputes. Eleanor, now in her 90s, was frail but sharp. As Marcus laid out his findings, showing her the entire letter from his great-grandfather and the records he had collected, she remained silent. After a long pause, she finally spoke. My family, we've carried this secret for generations. It was easier to flood the town, to bury the past under water and concrete than to face what we have done. Marcus listened as she explained that her family had been instrumental in the forced displacement of Oscarville's residents. They had conspired with local officials to push Oscarville out, taking his ideas for a creative award and using their newfound influence in California to make it a reality. The Academy Awards, as they were known, had been born out of guilt and legacy stolen from Oscarville, whose town was submerged to hide the betrayal. But why keep it a secret? Marcus asked. Why not come clean? Eleanor sighed. In those days, we believed that burying the truth would preserve our reputation. Now it's too late for that. But perhaps it's not too late to make things right. With Eleanor's confession and the evidence he gathered, Marcus felt a strange sense of peace. The injustice done to his family and to the Oscarville could never be undone, but the truth had surfaced like a ghost rising from the depths of Lake Lanier, and with it came the possibility of healing. Upon returning to Georgia, Marcus began working with local historians to properly document Oscarville's contributions to history. He also pushed for greater awareness of the dangers of Lake Lanier. The deaths at the lake were no longer just statistics. To him, they were part of the legacy of a town that had been erased, along with the people who had called it home. While some of the drownings were due to hazardous underwater terrain, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that the lake still held on to its secrets. Maybe it always would. But there was a hope. In an unexpected turn of events, Marcus received a call from the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences. They had heard about his discoveries, and after much deliberation, they decided to honor the true origins of the Oscars in a special ceremony. The Academy publicly acknowledged Oscarville's role in inspiring the prestigious award. A monument was erected at the edge of the Lake Lanier, commemorating the town of Oscarville and its forgotten founder. As Marcus stood by the monument doing the unveiling, he felt the weight of his great-grandfather's legacy lift. The sun was setting over the lake, casting a golden glow over the water. It was the bittersweet ending, but one filled with justice and recognition. Lake Lanier still held its mysteries, and perhaps it always would. But for Marcus, the truth had finally come to light, rising like the town of Oscarville from the depths of no longer forgotten but remembered. The story of Oscarville and the Oscars themselves had been rewritten, and as for the strange deaths in Lake Lanier, Marcus had come to believe that they weren't accidents. They were reminders of the unresolved past, calling out for recognition, for justice, for retribution. As Marcus stood by the monument honoring Oscarville, he felt a quiet peace settle over him. The truth, long buried beneath Lake Lanier, had finally emerged, and his great-grandfather's legacy was restored. The connection between Oscarville and the Oscars had been revealed, bringing justice to a forgotten story. While the lake would always carry its mysteries, Marcus knew he had done his part in uncovering the past and giving it the recognition it deserved. By shedding light on this hidden history, he brought closure to his family and helped heal the wounds left by time and secrecy. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe.